All right, Jeremy, I want to talk about something. Can you guess what it is?
Is it Anchor?
You got that right. I gotta tell you why Anchor is really awesome. First of all, it's a free creation tool that allows us to record and edit, and we can do it through our phone or our computers.
Oh yeah, we've been using Anchor to help distribute our podcast. So now it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Google Podcasts, all those good stuff.
Yeah, man, we're everywhere. That's why we have listeners from Germany and Kenya, and we can make bank out of this podcast with no minimum listenership, thanks to Anchor.
You're right. It is everything I need to make a podcast. And it's in one place.
What's that place?
It's Anchor, of course. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started if you want to be just like us. Anchor, you know this. I'm your host, Jeremy, and welcome to Know This Trivia. Know this? And today, it's the classic duo. It's Jeremy and it's Clint answering questions.
I'm ready to show everyone again how stupid I really am.
We don't even say that anymore, Clint. Come on. You got to see yourself in a brighter side, man. You are on the other side of the rainbow. You are a greener pasture.
I can be the president of the United States of America.
Unless a few laws change, it's overrated anyways.
I'll do like a coup. That'll be easy.
God, don't say that stuff, man.
No? Can't say that out loud? Oh, okay.
Speaking of coup, our coup topic today is...
God. I thought it was going to have to do...
We have a very cool topic, and it is the richest man in history.
Oh, okay. He
Right,
doesn't have a
Clint.
name, or?
Well, we'll get to that, Clint. But let's first talk about the richest man in modern history. Now, who would you say is the richest man alive?
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, the bald guy. Jeff Bezos.
Jeff the bald guy? Yes, that's what he goes by. As of now, it is Jeff Bezos. What would you say is his net worth right now? What's your guess?
He's like nearing $1 trillion or something, so.
A trillion? Do you know how much money $1 trillion is?
Yeah,
Bro?
they were like, he's expected to be a trillionaire by some time. I don't know when.
A trillionaire, man.
Anyways,
Okay,
I think he's
gonna let you know there's no current trillionaire that's alive.
Yeah,
and we don't have no one's ever like made $1 trillion, like not including inflation, but no one's ever mid $1 trillion. That's
Jeff
not
is
what
about
happens.
to be 2025. I'm guessing like, I don't know, 900 billion.
God damn, dude. You
500.
need to pay attention to business a little bit more. He just passed 200 billion.
Oh, I was close.
And right now, as of this recording of this podcast, he is currently 193 billion because of stocks. Because when stocks, how much money do you have, huh? What's your bank account?
It's 190. It's 190
dollars.
What about Elon? Is he nearing him?
So Elon Musk is currently at 166 billion.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So he's slightly under. Sometimes it does fluctuate. Like when Tesla goes really far up, then his stock prices will go higher, and then he might beat Jeff Bezos sometimes. But it's really like depends on stocks because their net worth is based on how much stock they own in their companies and how well those stocks are doing. So that's kind of where the net worth stuff is happening right now.
Okay.
So yes, you're correct. Jeff Bezos is the richest man in modern history. But let's see. We're going to go into the richest man of all time of history, not just the modern history. But before I want to go there, we should give some women appreciation as well. So what would you say is the richest woman alive?
It's Jeff's ex. What's her name?
It is not Jeff's ex. I'm gonna let you know. It is not.
I thought she
does not become the richest woman alive just because of alimony. Okay.
I thought it was because they split everything in half.
They broke up a long time ago. You know how much money Jeff Bezos has gone since they broke up?
I guess a lot. Okay, so it's not her.
Yeah, she only has like 60 billion net worth or something.
Yeah, only.
Hey, you thought freaking he was a trillionaire, okay? You thought he was gonna be a freaking $1 trillion.
Oh, he's gonna be. That's what everyone is saying. But anyways, richest woman? Oprah?
Mm-hmm. No, it's not Oprah. Her family and her business owns majority stake in L'Oreal.
Oh, L'Oreal.
Mm-hmm.
L'Oreal. That's her name.
No, that's it. It's Rachel L'Oreal. How'd you know? No, it is Francoise Betancourt Myers.
How am I gonna get? No one who knows who that is.
Well, she's the richest woman, okay? So I
Okay.
hear some sexism right now,
No,
okay? I see some goddamn injustice that we need more
there is.
representation
Yeah,
of
yeah.
women in power.
Uh-huh.
And even though her net worth is $81 billion right now,
Uh-huh.
she doesn't even hit top 10 of the richest people alive.
Oh, it's all men?
Yeah,
My
the top
God.
10 is all guys.
I am tired of men. I I need a
Yeah.
break.
But I was surprised to see that a lot of the fashion industry people are really rich. Number
Oh.
10 is like the guy who I guess owns Zara. And then the
Oh.
second richest woman is the person who is, I guess, that family who owns Walmart and things
Oh.
like
Oh,
that.
the
So
Watson family? Is it Watson? Or
Walton family.
Walton. Oops.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really rich. Walmart need to calm down.
Yeah, she's the daughter of Sam Walton, which was like Sam's Club, Walmart, and all that. Oh, that's where it
Oh,
comes
that's why it's
from.
called Sam's Club.
So Sam's Club, but Walmart, the Waltons. Oh,
Oh.
everything makes sense now.
Okay. So it's like is Target like the
Yes, it's from Mark Targaryen.
Okay, yes.
All right, let's get to our actual podcast now. Let's get to the
Oh, we
actual
have it?
topic. No, this was our topic, but this is just modern history. And
Mhm.
even though Jeff Bezos owns, $200 billion, he is nowhere close to the richest people of all time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, Jeff, you're a loser.
I'm going to introduce you to the richest person.
Okay.
Now, this person colloquially is known to be the richest person because his wealth was indescribable. No one could actually pinpoint a lot of his wealth because, one, he's old as hell. A
Uh-huh.
lot of these times, there wasn't a lot of written history, especially in Africa. There wasn't
Oh.
that much. A lot of it was oral history, but that still counts as history too.
Uh-huh.
And this man is called Mansa Musa.
Uh-huh.
Now, Mansa means emperor. All right. So
Oh,
Mansa is
okay.
like the title, kind of like king. So Mansa Musa, also known as Mansa Musa the First of Mali. He has a lot of names, almost like if he was from Game of Thrones, He's
Yeah.
the Emir of Mel, the Lord of the Mines of Wangara, conqueror of Ghanata, also known as the Lion of Mali.
Oh,
So he's got quite a few titles under his
a lot
belt,
of
man.
names.
So this guy, he was born in 1280 CE.
Oh, okay.
So like around the medieval ages, like the
Oh,
Middle
okay.
Ages. He's not really known in history right now, especially if you're not in Africa,
Mhm.
because history is written by the victors. Only people who conquer everybody really write history books. So
Yeah.
you don't really hear about Mansa Musa.
Nope.
So I'm probably going to say Musa for most of it, or Mansa Musa, even though he has all these other names, just because it's kind of hard to say all his titles every
Okay.
time.
Just say
I'm not gonna
M.
do Eminem. Eminem was the richest man of all time. Now that you know a little bit about Mansa Musa, and he's an African king, and he was born a lot longer, he's very old. Yeah, he's much more in the ancient times, not really a modern history kind of guy. We're gonna get into our actual questions now. But Clint, before we get into the richest people in history and talk about all the questions that we have, let's address the people who are new to this podcast. For those who are new, you're listening to Know This Trivia, the podcast where two besties quiz each other on random trivia topics split into two sections. First, I'll ask Clint around 3 questions or so, and that only need short answers. That helps Clint just kind of give me a quick little answer and see what he knows about this little tidbits. I'll add some facts here and there, and then we'll get into our second half. I'll test Clint with some long form essay questions and see what type of wacky answers he can make up. Are you ready, Clint?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. The first question is Mansa Musa is most known for being one of the richest men of all time. We can't really describe exactly how much he actually has, but what do you think is accredited to most of Musa's fortune?
Like, why do they think he's so rich?
What do you think is the source of his wealth?
Oh, Africa.
For example, Jeff
Mines.
Bezos, his source is Amazon. What would be Musa's fortune?
Walmart.
Surprise, he's the original Walmart.
He has a lot of gold.
Okay, so he just has gold? You don't think he gets gold from somewhere or something?
He
what's the
heads
business?
the gold trade. Is there a gold trade? Is that a thing?
That
What would
could
be
be,
the
I guess.
business in the middle? What is this? Middle? You said Middle Ages?
Yeah, this is the Middle Ages. This was in Africa. He's kind of like the sub-Saharan Africa area. He is the emperor of Mali, if you know that area at
Okay.
all. Kind of
No.
like West Africa a little bit.
West Africa. I don't know. He heads the camel trade. I don't.
I'm just trying to see what you know about Africa, man.
I don't.
Today we are going to debunk a bunch of myths about Africa.
Okay.
And it's
All
not
right.
just about poor people who aren't civilized, because this is just what the goddamn patriarchy, white people are trying to push into our throats.
That's
There's a
true.
lot of people in Africa, and it's quite diverse, and it's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
And your
I wanna
answer
go.
is camels? Is that what you're going to go for?
Camel trade.
Well, you should have stayed with the gold mines. In Mali and in this area was a lot of caves and a lot of mines that had a lot of gold. So historians say that almost every year they would mine up to a ton of gold. So
Does he sell it or does he just keep it for himself or what's he doing?
we'll get to that further on.
Oh, okay. I'm
Now
sorry.
he has a lot of gold,
Uh-huh.
and I mean he could use that as because gold was a lot more scarce back then, so gold
Mhm.
was much more expensive. So when he would use gold as like his currency, it's definitely worth a lot.
Makes sense.
And gold wasn't the only thing. Supposedly he also had a lot of salt mines too, and
Oh.
salt was very important. And salt was also one of the things he would trade a lot, because salt, goddamn, people need flavor, and and if you don't have salt, you can die too. Gold, I don't really know. You don't really need to have gold. People just like it. I don't know why.
Pretty or whatever.
Yeah. Well, gold's not even that important, right? Like if we all decided today that we didn't like the color of gold,
That's it.
I don't think, right?
Yeah.
Like if gold was just like butt ugly brown, Yeah.
Uh,
So Musa's fortune was due to mainly salt and gold mines.
okay.
And people have said, and this is all historians, and all these are kind of like legends too. So like we don't know how much of this is true, but we also don't know how much of this is like exaggerated / 100% accurate either.
Yeah.
So they say that potentially throughout his life, the Musa Empire had at least half of the world's supply of gold.
Damn.
His empire by himself had
Yeah.
half of the world's gold. So that kind of just shows you how rich he was back then.
Okay. I'm gonna hit him up.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, just hit me up. I'll tell you some more information about Musa.
What is gold?
Well, Clint. Yeah. So Musa had quite an extent. He only actually, like, surprisingly enough, his reign was only about 25 years. So
How
he
old
began
was
his
he?
reign in 1312 up to, people guess, maybe 1337. Nobody really knows about when he died.
Oh.
But like 1337 was supposedly around when he like last had like diplomatic affairs.
Okay. How old was he?
57, 56 years old. We don't really know exactly when he died. So
okay. Probably got like a cold and then that's it.
yeah, I don't really know what happened, but he was succeeded by his children. So he did have some sort of lineage.
Okay. He had a lineage.
But speaking of, an
Lineages.
ancestry or anything, like how do you think Mansa Musa became king?
His dad was the king, and his dad was like, "Goodbye."
Actually,
No, let me
Mansa
finish.
Musa. Okay, fine. Give me what else? What else? Okay, because you said his dad. I'm gonna tell you that's wrong.
Okay, so that's wrong. His mama was the king. Oh no, I don't know. Never mind. I'm finished. It's not his dad. Then it doesn't make sense.
So it's not his dad. He does have some sort of like ancestral lineage because his uncle was the founder of the Malian Empire. So he does have relations. The interesting thing, though, is that none of his direct lineage, right? Like, because normally it would be like only if you are the son of the king, right?
Yeah.
What happened was supposedly his brother, Mansa Abu Bakr, ruled the empire until 1312. So not him. Usually it doesn't get to him. But what happened was this Mansa went on an expedition overseas, and he appointed Mansa Musa as like the temporary ruler. But what happened was
Christopher Columbus bumped into him, and Christopher's like, "You gotta die. I gotta take the credit." White man, typical white man.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that's wrong, but no, I am gonna. I'm gonna say that's wrong. I'm gonna say that's wrong because we don't actually know what happened to him. But he was lost at sea. He never came back. We don't really know exactly what happened.
Pirates.
So they sailed off. They never returned. So Mansa Musa was left in charge, therefore inheriting the kingdom of Mali.
Dang. His brother didn't have kids?
I don't know.
What is this?
We're not really talking about his brother because his brother wasn't the richest man of all time.
No.
Mansa Musa was.
It would have been him, though, if he didn't go. This is why you don't go into the ocean. Listen to our deep sea episode, and you know why you should not go into the ocean.
It's goddamn scary. That's true. So Mansa Musa wasn't, what you would say, like self-made billionaire or whatever he is. He did like inherit a lot of this stuff. So, but he did make it like really rich. Supposedly he conquered, over 20 like really big cities in this area. He took over Timbuktu, Senegal, which is like a country near the west.
It's a Jewish church.
That's a synagogue. Senegal is a completely different area. But we will talk about religion in a little bit. But speaking exactly about how big his empire was, because we're going to kind of go into this brief idea, because we're really going to want to know exactly about how rich he was. This is mainly about his empire. How big would you say it is? Let's say if we were in New York, and we went west, how far would it get to?
I was going to be like the Great Mall of America.
Okay, it's definitely bigger than that.
It's the biggest mall in the country.
Okay, so, but that, just because you own a giant city, okay, that has a mall in it, does not make you the biggest ruler of all.
I'm going to think about the size here. So if I'm in New York, how far west do I own? Let's say Texas, like that region.
Ooh, close.
Yeah.
If you went from New York all the way to New Mexico, all of America would be part of Musa's empire.
Okay.
That's the size of it. So
he owned all of Africa.
No, Africa's huge, bro. Okay. Africa you could fit in China, America, India into Africa. Okay. It's a freaking continent, man.
I'm trying to imagine it.
It's a freaking continent. It's huge.
I don't know. Australia's a continent. It's small.
Okay, that's true. We won't talk about Australia.
A shrimp on the barbie. Okay.
But if you imagine 3/4 of America, that's a pretty big thing for one emperor in the Middle Ages too. Well, now you know about the size of his empire. You kind of know a little bit about just what we're talking about with Mansa Musa. Let's go into more about Mansa Musa's religion, because this is the man that was one of the people who actually instituted a lot of Islamic beliefs into Africa. And Musa was a firm believer in Islam, and he conducted the Hajj, which is the pilgrimage to Mecca. I don't know how much you know of. Yeah, so he actually did that. If you know a little bit about Islam, it's kind of like a very common thing to travel all the way to Mecca, which is in the Middle East.
Yeah.
Now, for his trip, he brought along many riches. And this is going to kind of tell you about exactly how rich he was, even though we can't quite describe it. So my question for you is, how much gold did he bring with him?
To do this Mecca thing?
Yeah, with his Mecca. How much gold did he bring? Now, I don't have like an exact amount, but I do have some sort of numbers. So you can give it to me in pounds. You can give it to me in like how much money the gold might be worth. So you can try that.
I'm going to do both. Let me just have fun with it. I'm going to say, dang, this, because he would have like
okay, we're not talking about, remember, Jeff Bezos is only 200 billion, okay? Like, you don't have to go crazy into freaking like anything, okay? Like, I'm gonna tell you, don't go into the trillions right now.
Okay. You said there's never been a trillionaire, so I don't, it's not true.
Or like not including inflation,
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say he had like about 50 pounds of gold, light load of just walking around. And let's say it was like 100 million worth of gold.
Okay. 50. You know, when he travels to Mecca, like a king's not going to travel by himself, right? Like, you
No,
know
he
that,
has
right?
helpers. That's why the 50 pounds is like 10 pounds for each person. Come on.
Yes. So he only had 5 other people. Yes, because you know when the president of the United States travels, he only has 5 other people travel with him, right? Like, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his
sure,
wife,
of course.
the first lady, and then 4 security guards.
Good to know that the fate of the United States is in 4 security guards' hands.
Great
All right.
hands, yeah.
Do you care to? You know, I thought you were gonna overestimate. Yeah, you went a little bit
You
low.
scared me
Do you wanna?
there. Okay, let's do 100 pounds then. Okay, everyone gets like 10 pounds still, but there's 10 now. How much gold do you need to bring? 100 pounds and then 100 million.
He brought 60,000 men with him on his
What?
trip. Yeah.
It's like the whole country. How? What
Yeah,
is
it was a lot of people. He had a lot of people under his reign. Okay. His army was about 200,000 people, which is already a lot in just one small army, especially
Yeah,
back then. Like, if you think about it, the medieval times was a bunch of these smaller kingdoms in Europe, like fighting each other. Like,
yeah.
no one would be able to comprehend, like, just how much 200K of guys and how much Musa actually had.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let you know it's definitely way more than 100 pounds. He had camels that came with him, so you were right about
He
having
was part of the
camels,
camel trade.
okay?
Yeah.
But he had one camel carried 300 pounds of gold.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and guess how many camels he brought with him?
Ugh, 5.
God damn, dude, your imagination is not that wild.
Because like, oh, okay.
No.
I guess
You are
everyone
correct.
needs a
That is a
camel.
lot of gold. You know, like a ton of gold is like what, like 2,000
Yeah.
pounds of gold? Like that is a lot of gold. But records show he brought about 80 camels. Some people say maybe around 100 camels or more.
Uh-huh.
But if I'm being conservative, 80 camels carrying about 300 pounds of gold on each camel.
Holy crap.
And I'm going to even tell you more. If we do calculations, and I did a little bit of math,
Oh,
if we
look at
have
you.
80 camels with 300 pounds of gold each,
Gotcha.
right? And in the Middle Ages, how much, if we include inflation, right? What would you say 1 ounce of gold would be?
Like $20.
1 ounce of gold. Okay, right now, 1 ounce of gold is about $800.
Holy crap.
What do you think, Clint?
An ounce just seems so little. I don't know.
Yeah, there's about 16 ounces in a pound.
Yeah.
So if you do all that math together, the camels alone would have had $2 billion and $300 million of gold.
Holy crap.
And
like
that
each camel.
No, not each camel.
Oh,
This is total.
Okay.
God damn, Clint. Okay, you're either going really high today or you're going really low. Like, just calibrate, man. Calibrate.
There's no middle for me today. So it's like, are the people not taking rides on the camel? Then they're not taking turns because I feel like all the gold is taking up the space.
Yeah, 300 pounds on a camel. I think the camels are gonna be strained up just a little bit.
Okay, so the gold is more important than the people.
And he did. Remember, he had 60,000 people walking with him. He had 12,000 of those men were actually slaves too. But
so more
these
gold.
slaves were not
gold.
just like in rags, okay? They were adorned in Persian silk and adorned with gold also.
Oh.
The records say that 500 of the slaves that were in front of Musa actually had gold staffs too.
Oh. Hey man, walking when you look good walking, I'll do it. Wow.
Now, on his trip to Mecca, he once traveled to Cairo. Do you know where Cairo is?
Yeah, Egypt.
Oh, good job.
I know geography.
The problem was that while he traveled through Cairo on his trip to Mecca, he caused an economic crisis in Cairo, in Egypt. Now, my question for you, and this is question number 3.
I don't know. You've asked me more than 3 questions, sir.
Yeah, I might have, but this is officially question number 3.
Okay. I was like, I think he missed taking a break, but all right, let's do this.
Yeah. Like if you kind of look at, if we look at the scoreboard, okay, you know, this is the official question. This is the only one that's worth something, okay?
Oh, okay.
What did Mansa Musa do to create this economic crisis?
Rent increase, the housing crisis.
He gentrified Cairo.
Yeah, the stock market plummeted because of him. Okay, what happened in Cairo? What happens in Cairo? The Nile River. Is that even in? Yeah, I think so. River. Fishing. He killed all the fish.
Yeah, because he had to feed his 6,000 men, right? So
he put gold in the river and it killed all the animals. And then, like, what are we gonna
what,
eat?
gold poisoning? Is that even a
Yeah,
thing?
I don't think so. But he did it, so it's not a
Is
thing
that your final
anymore.
answer?
No, Cairo. Something about destroying agricultural, like farming, something like that.
Okay.
I think.
Interesting.
Yeah. Locusts.
So no, okay, that was freaking Moses, okay? That was Moses. Okay?
No, never mind. The Great Flood happened. Okay.
Well, clearly that also, okay, if you're following the Bible, that stuff happened like way before Jesus was born, okay? And we're talking about the 1300s. All right, so what Mansa Musa did was he stayed in Cairo or in Egypt for 3 months. Okay. And during this 3-month stay, he was actually a very generous king. He gave away a lot of this gold and he was just kind of giving it people. He was doing a lot of trades. And because he was just giving all this gold, he was saturating the market. He gave away so much gold that he caused a depreciation of gold in Egypt. Which meant if you own gold before Mansa Musa came, you'd probably be really rich in Egypt. But because he was just giving away gold, the value of your gold that you had kept on going down. So historians and academics looked at how much the economic loss would have been for Egypt. Of course, including inflation, it would have been upwards of $1.5 billion loss.
Oh my God.
Because of this 3-month stay of Mansa Musa.
Holy crap, how much gold was he giving out?
Yeah, that's how much gold. He was so generous. He was giving away gold. Actually, this historian, I can't remember his name, and I won't be able to pronounce it quite correctly. This Arabian scholar and this historian, his name is like Al-Umari, and he's quite well known, but he came to Egypt about 12 years after Mansa Musa did, and people were still praising and singing songs of Mansa Musa and of his like generosity, of his riches 12 years after he came to Egypt. So people still remembered him, man. His ripple effect was definitely happening in Egypt quite a lot.
I'm gonna get a tattoo of his face if he gives me that much gold.
Yeah, like people are saying, man, like Mansa Musa definitely left an impact. Mansa Musa is very, very rich. But speaking of that, why do you think Mansa Musa's like legacy isn't quite known?
Because he's African. Historians are racist.
That's kind of true. I gave you a little bit of a hint, which was history is written by the victors.
Oh, he got conquered.
Say locust? Did you say locust? Are you kidding me?
I'm guessing he got conquered, like some other kingdom fought him.
You're kind of close. So under his reign, nothing happened. But after he died, he was succeeded by his children. And it was split among his children. But some things that happened was 2 generations after Mansa Musa, almost all the gold and his legacy had been dissipated.
Why?
There was civil wars. So a lot of the different factions that were underneath Mansa Musa's reign split up.
Yeah.
And like what you said, Europeans, people came in, invaded all of these areas, and there was not much to happen about Mansa Musa's legacy. So that's kind of the unfortunate thing, which is unless you're in West Africa, you probably don't know too much of Mansa Musa.
This is why you don't trust your kids.
Anyways, we'll get to a little bit more about Mansa Musa, but first, let's go on a break, Clint.
Sounds good.
Hello?
Hi, I'm just calling today to see...
Who is this?
This is Shane from the Good Game Guys.
I'm not interested.
I haven't even told you what it's about yet.
Take me off your list.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Son of a...
Devon, these cold calls aren't working, and I feel stupid. All I want is to get people excited about our show, The Good Game Guys, being available every Sunday morning on Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever they get their podcasts. Because how else are people going to know that we cover the latest in video game news and do routine interviews with some of the best folks in the podcast community? They won't unless I make more calls. So,
Hello?
hi, this is Shane from the Good Game Guys. How are you today? Follow us on Twitter at Good Game Guys Pod.
And we are back from our break. Break me a piece of that Mansa Musa trivia.
Gold bar.
So let's get into a little bit of the long form questions. All right.
Oh no, I just felt like there was 20 questions in that first round, Jeremy.
That's true. Okay. It's because if you want to know trivia, we got to get you some trivia.
Okay, all right, I'm ready. Let's do it.
Next time you get some bar trivia and they ask you, who was the richest man of all time?
Jeff Bezos.
According to you, freaking $1 trillion in a few years, maybe. Who knows? All right. So let's just get back to the rich guy of the old times, ancient history.
All
Now, the
right.
legend of Mansa Musa's wealth stretched far into the regions of Earth, right?
Mhm.
Into the far regions. People, like I said, even Europeans knew about him. And especially because he did this whole, this Mecca, his Hajj, going through all these different countries, all these different places. A lot of word spreads around about this guy who was adorned in gold, had lots of riches. Now, his impact had such a reach into Europe, so much so, my question is, what was done to acknowledge Musa's wealth? What did the Europeans do to recognize Musa's amazing wealth?
Queen Elizabeth was like, "Hey, visit me in my palace. Let's
Queen
have some dinner."
Elizabeth, I'm telling you, man.
Don't tell me she don't look like she lived from the Middle Ages. Either someone invited him to visit,
Mhm.
or I don't know why, but my guess is that he got put on like a currency, like a bill, like his face was put on there. I don't know why.
All right.
Like we
Run
don't
with
even do
that.
that
Run
now.
with that.
Oh!
You're getting close. You're getting
Oh my
close.
God.
I'm gonna
Okay,
give you
so
some
they put-
hints.
They put
Okay.
him on a bill.
Maybe not currency. Maybe not currency.
Oh, okay.
But they put his face onto something.
Oh, okay. Gold bars.
You got some Musa money.
Okay, they put his face onto something. The flag.
What, of Europe? Are you kidding me now? Clint, you were getting so close there. You were so close.
What else is good? Money, coins. I don't know.
You just said currency. You know what? I'll just
Chocolate
give you
bars,
partial
desserts,
credit.
food, the restaurants. They made a
All right,
movie
so-
about him. Pictures. They made a zoo out of him in honor of him. The Mansa
Oh.
Moose Zoo.
Okay, well, I might just stop you there because what happened was that to acknowledge Musa's wealth,
Uh-huh.
most of the maps that were made by Europeans would have a picture, a drawing of Mansa Musa in Africa. So
Oh.
pictures of Africa had a portrait of Mansa Musa sitting on a golden throne, wearing a golden crown with a golden staff and holding a gold coin in one hand. So
Oh.
all this stuff showed how rich Mansa Musa was. And it was so rich that they literally put him on the map.
So they had ink back then? Like this is a color
the
printer out of
They didn't like print maps, but
Oh.
because back then, people were still exploring and things like that.
Yeah.
They knew that Africa had this one rich empire
Mhm.
and they knew of Mansa Musa. So they put him on these maps. So back then, if you look at medieval times and
Yeah.
Middle Age maps, they would have pictures of Mansa Musa.
Oh.
You don't just have
Like
you
they
don't
drew
just
it?
put faces. Yeah, they drew his
Okay.
portrait onto Africa because
Uh,
that's how much of an impact Mansa Musa had.
Damn. Look at him.
Many centuries later, about 5 centuries in the 1800s, European did invade Africa. And I think one of the reasons was because they've heard of stories of these rich salt and gold mines in Africa.
Mhm.
And they thought, this is freaking El Dorado. This is like the city of gold here. We got to invade the area. So, I mean, we are talking just about wealth. If we wanted to go more into like Mansa Musa's legacy, there's a lot more. Mansa Musa specifically actually did have a lot of impact in African culture too,
Mhm.
because he's almost known as I read some articles where he's been represented as the godfather of education in
Oh,
Africa. You know, like he created colleges and
yeah,
he brought in a lot of scholars from the Middle East. So this kind of brought in like education is really important in West Africa, bringing this
because
into
of
like
him.
this sort of empire.
Oh,
So there's a lot more legacy. We're not going to go quite into it as we near the end of this episode,
uh-huh.
but I want to ask you one last thing, Clint.
Okay.
So Mansa Musa, he's known as, like I said in the very beginning, colloquially as the richest man in history.
Uh-huh.
So much so that we can't calculate his financial wealth.
Okay.
Now, a lot can be attributed because he was so generous with his wealth. So he was giving so much away. Others can be the lack of written history because there's oral history. So we don't know how much got changed over time.
Oral history.
But, you know, that being said, like, you know, the Iliad and the Odyssey were also oral history too. So, you know,
Oh
like,
God, the Odyssey.
you know, like those are books that were passed down from word of mouth as well before being written. So just because, you know, we don't exactly have written history doesn't mean none of this is true. Some of this could also have happened. But from the amount we can calculate, it's been estimated about 400 billion.
Okay.
But that's only from what we can calculate. There's definitely been people who had more than 400 billion, and there's been people who we can calculate that might be even more. My question for you is, based on what we can calculate, who would be considered the wealthiest man in recorded history?
Who? So it's not him?
It's not him because we can't record exactly his amount. The reason why Mansa Musa is considered the wealthiest man is because we can't quite describe his wealth.
Oh, okay.
So we say like, because we can't describe it, and people just say like, oh, think of the richest person you can think of and then double it and then double it again.
Yeah.
Right. But based on exactly things that we can calculate and things that we do know, there is one person that supposedly had a lot of money. And I'll even tell you, if you include inflation, he had $4.6 trillion.
So there has been a trillion.
But I'm saying not including inflation, though. You know, like he didn't have actually $1 trillion. But if you have inflation, he could have.
Is he dead?
Yes, he is dead.
Damn. I don't know anyone from.
So, some hints. He has much more recorded history. He has much more, like, there's much more records of him. Which probably means he is
Italian.
He is European. Who would you say would be maybe one of the richest Europeans of all time?
Richest European? Who the hell? Can I get like a year? When were they alive?
He lived from 63 BC to 14 AD.
What the hell?
Ooh.
The Roman Emperor.
And that name is?
Julius Caesar. No, he was not
very
rich.
close.
Who else is an emperor? I don't know any other famous Roman emperors.
I'll take your answer as Julius Caesar because it's not Julius Caesar. It was actually the person who succeeded Julius
Pompey.
Caesar.
Wait, never mind. That's a
Yes. So as the next Roman Caesar, his name was Augustus Caesar.
Oh.
I don't know if you've heard of him. I don't know too much about him.
Never heard of him.
But his wealth, and the reason why they attribute so much money to him is because during his reign, he supposedly had a personal wealth of about 1/5 of his empire's economy.
Like he just owned
So
it?
imagine the US and our economy of like the $1 trillion of debt and like all these things that we trade around. Imagine one person owning 1/5 of that.
Oh God.
Right.
A lot of power.
So, and even more so, if you imagine during his reign, they took over Egypt. Augustus personally owned, quote unquote, owned, because I don't know if you can own an entire country, but he supposedly owned Egypt.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if you own a whole country and Egypt supposedly has a lot of wealth, this can be attributed to why he has $4.6 trillion of net worth during his reign. It was kind of weird because when I was doing research, I kept on finding information that Augustus had $4.6 trillion, but then people kept on saying Mansa Musa was the richest man in history. And I didn't really understand that. So the only reasonality I can give would be maybe Mansa Musa had more than that, or the idea is that people just thought Mansa Musa had a lot of money because we can't quite describe it.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
back
that makes
then,
sense.
you can't fathom exactly how much money that was.
Yeah, they didn't have like taxes.
Caesar did. So that's for sure.
That's true.
Freaking tax collectors over here. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
But like, there's no audit books, you know.
I mean, yeah, that's actually true. You know, like you can't. They didn't have a record of how much money he had.
Yeah, he didn't have a W-2 that I could go off on.
All right, Clint, that is it. That is the story of Mansa Musa. What do you think?
He sounded like a nice person. Like, he sounded really generous. I mean, he did have slaves, but whatever.
Everybody back then had it.
Who didn't?
Like, not to be mean, but like, that's kind of true.
Yeah, but yeah, he sounded like he knew how to govern. He was like he was the people's king. And then
The people's champion.
Gosh,
Maybe this
why
is
does
Mansa the Rock
everything-
Musa.
Why does everything go back to the Rock?
Well, Clint, let's just end on that good note and take us home.
All right. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Know This Trivia. Please rate us 5 stars or give us 5 gold bars and review our podcast. It really helps us out. If you have any suggestions for topics or comments about our podcast, please email us at theknowthispodcast@gmail.com.
Cover art by Amy Hoffman. Music by Karthik Karakran. Edited and produced by Clint Valencia and Jeremy Mack. See you in 2 weeks.